This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Pete Panito with First Northern Credit Union. In partnership with the City of Evanston, I welcome you to the last week of our Financial Wellness Youth Series. Week 1, we had Money Skills, Preparing for Financial Independence. Week 2, 8 Steps to Financial Success. Week 3, Start Being Money Smart. Week 4, Credit Matters. And today, week 5, we talk about paying for college. And I will be saying, everybody should have received the handout I sent earlier this morning. I will reference it every once in a while, maybe. And I will send the PowerPoint also that I'm going through, to go through now, as I have technical difficulty, it looks like. So I'm pausing for a second, see if I can figure this out. Help me, please. Help me, please. Here we go. Let me hit this. Resume the slideshow. Okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. One more second. Okay. Paying for college. There we are. That's where we were. So the goal of this workshop is to educate you on the options available for financing college. And there is endless information online. In fact, all of the webinars we've had during this special youth financial education, the past 5 weeks, there is a plethora of information online at everyone's fingertips. Yes, I said plethora. For those who don't know, it's a fancy schmancy word that means a lot. Not quite billions like the stars in the sky, but a lot. And we will touch on some of the basics here. So paying for college, how do I pay for college is like asking, how do I get healthy, or how do I learn another language? There's a lot of answers, and there's never always one clear path. So we're going to touch on some of those things. And so after years of toiling away in high school, the end is finally near. College is almost here. Yes, yes. Of course, if this is the path you choose, right? Just like all choices, we have to make decisions on how we are going to make this happen. Like any other goal in life, I think the average 2019 graduate now has probably on average about $35,000 in student loan debt to their name. That's $35,000 in student loan debt. So that's a lot of money. And so do you want to join that group of recent grads who suffer from this big debt syndrome after graduation? I say, no, thank you, sir. No, thank you, madam. Well, you can make decisions now, make choices now that can drastically reduce that debt. So the value, not cost, but the value of a higher education degree is very immense, even if it can get expensive. So the value comes with the tangible career benefits, from lower unemployment rates to higher salaries, the awesome new connections that you make, not only from a career point of view, but from personal connections. But of course, if your debt keeps you down after earning your degree, those benefits that I just mentioned can seem awfully theoretical, okay? So it's not necessarily a catch-22. Believe me, you can graduate from college while still maintaining relative financial security, okay? If you know how to play your cards right. And I am going to try and deal you a few aces with this webinar, okay? So at the outset, it's very important. Now that every college has deadlines by which you have to apply for, accept, and or appeal your financial aid, besides applying for acceptance, of course, these deadlines are directly connected to enrollment and tuition deposit deadlines, okay? The earlier you know them, the better you can plan ahead to make sure that you don't let any deadline lapse or financial aid get away. So if you're a procrastinator, I want you to stop. Don't be a procrastinator. I'm telling you right now, and you already know this innately, you should never procrastinate with anything. We all make excuses, right? Like it's going to take too much time, or there's too many forms, or too many questions, or I'll never get it anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, procrastination will cost you in time 2 more semesters to graduate. Dang, I should have not procrastinated. And real, true, blue, free money, thousands gone because you thought the paperwork was too daunting. An hour process, a 2-hour process, 2 hours that just cost you $2,500. That is not money smart, okay? So knowing some of these basics now will make paying for college a lot more affordable than you think, okay? So here we go. If I can figure this out, let's go to the next slide. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, ways, what is this? Ways to lower the cost of college, okay? So the cost of college education varies widely, okay? Public schools are more affordable than private schools, especially if you stay in state, okay? And in most cases, I bet it's probably cheaper to live off campus and buy groceries than live on campus and have the meal plan, okay? Spending 2 years at a community college before going off to a 4-year university can save you a huge amount of money. Actually, that's what I did. Actually not. I went, but this is what I did. I went to 2 years at Northeastern Illinois University, which is a 4-year university, but it was local and it was cheaper, a lot cheaper. And before I transferred to Northern Illinois University out there in DeKalb, I wanted to get my gen eds out of the way at a much lower cost, okay? Now, gen eds, general education, they are required courses that all college students must take before they can start taking classes on the major that they choose, okay? So that's what I did. I worked, while I was going to Northeastern, I worked like 30 hours a week. My parents let me stay at home, so I was able to save everything. I think in-state tuition right now at Northeastern is like $11,000. I think NIU it's $16,000. But back a million years ago, when I went there, it was a quarter of that amount, okay? So I think like Oakton Community College, it's a public college. I think that's about $10,000 a year versus, let's say, Northwestern University, which is a private university. It's like $55,000 a year. So there's a ginormous difference. And here's a tip. Remember all those times those very mean, very, very mean adults and teachers and parents and guardians, loved ones were saying, do your homework, get good grades, do your homework, do your homework. Now is the time to heed the advice, especially in your junior and senior years, okay? It's at this point, you better buck up because those grades will pay off. A very good chance to get merit-based grants because you did the hard work in high school. And it's never too late to buck up. That's my advice for today. One of my pieces of advice. I'm going to go to the next slide. Here we go. Who is responsible for financing a college education? Well, this slide, look at this. It's got a nice picture. We got parents, we got child, we got both. So ultimately, you've got to figure it out, okay? And you have to go beyond just the sticker price of tuition, okay? So what I just mentioned, that was just tuition stuff that I mentioned before, okay? You need to understand how much every college you consider applying to will actually cost you, okay? and it's crucial to go beyond tuition. So it can give you a first idea of how much you will eventually have to pay, but it's not a comprehensive overview of your actual cost. You have to consider, if you're going away, you have to consider room and board, fees, books, and cost of living. Those are just a few of the variables that play into the total cost of your education, okay? So now with keeping those variables in mind, two universities with the identical tuition can cost very different amounts, okay? And some universities have gone to a per credit tuition system that makes it a little bit harder to actually compare costs. It makes it difficult. And I think online they have like these special cost calculators that you could use that helps you evaluate from one school to the next, okay? So here's an example of public versus private. University of Illinois, $15,000 in tuition. Illinois State, $26,000. Southern Illinois University, $15,000. Those are all public universities, okay? University of California, Berkeley. You've heard of Berkeley, right? That's $15,000. That's a public university. Northwestern here in Evanston, it's a private research university. That's $55,000. DePaul University, it's a private university, $40,000. Okay, so those are just a few examples. And if you talk about Ivy League, you're talking about tuition that gets into the even more than Northwestern University. Okay, $50,000, $55,000. So I took a look at the University of Illinois, just to add up some expenses, okay? The tuition and fees, just the tuition, is $15,000, okay? Room and board is a little over $11,000. Books, $1,200. And then you have other expenses, travel, personal expenses, that's another $2,500. So now we're talking about not just tuition at the $15,000, let's double that, because that's what the total is going to be throughout the year. That's $30,000. That's a lot of money, okay? So, and there's different avenues that you need to look down at in order to pay for college, okay? From anything like what I did. I had a part-time job. And if you have some savings, to monies that maybe a parent or a guardian has tried to save over the years, and know that there are at least some sort of financial aid that will be available for most students, okay? As I mentioned, my situation a million years ago was I had to scramble and figure out on my own how I was going to pay for college. My saving grace was that my parents let me live at home. I saved money from working that part-time job. I worked at a local Kmart. Are those things still around? I worked at a Kmart. I worked baseball games. I was an umpire during the summers at the park. I saved everything. And I worked basketball games. I was a referee during the school year. I spent hours looking for the right affordable college and hours looking into loans and grants. And I kept thinking, because I was pretty good at baseball, I was thinking, why don't I have a baseball scholarship? I missed it. I guess I wasn't as good as I thought. So I put a lot of time and effort trying to figure all this stuff out, okay? And that's what you're going to have to do as well. Next slide. Here we go. Excuse me. I'm going to take a sip of water, okay? That was good. Thank you. Slide. How to pay for college. Okay. A large part of covering the cost of college may come from financial aid, okay? Now, financial aid is money supplied by a source other than you to help pay for college costs, okay, college education costs. And it may come from the federal government, the state, the school itself, private entities, foundations. We're going to get into this term FAFSA, FAFSA, which is financial aid. But we're going to get to that in a second. And this is the first thing that you're going to do. You're going to fill out this form, okay? And submitting it puts you in the running to receive financial aid, including the federal grants, the work-study opportunities, the student loans, and some state and school-based aid, okay? And you want to fill that out as soon as possible because some colleges award money on first come, first serve, okay? So remember the procrastination? Don't procrastinate. Do not procrastinate. The golden rule. So understand your college's financial aid opportunities, right? And the need-based aid that your FAFSA determines. It might not be enough to cover all the college expenses, okay? In that case, it makes sense you need to find out all other ways to pay for college, right? Whether it be, your academic achievements and you get scholarships that way, extracurricular activities that you have to do to bring in some money. So this whole thing, how to pay for college, it covers a wide spectrum, from I wish I had the athletic scholarship back in the day, to out-of-state tuition waivers and grants, to first-generation students. The exact available of aid, the exact aid that's available, it differs from school to school. So it's important, very important, to talk to the admissions counselor about the opportunities at your college of choice, okay? And I wrote this down. So there's different types of savings accounts, okay, as we go back to this slide. Savings account for educational expenses, okay? Different types that are designed specifically to save money for education expenses. And each has a different tax advantage, okay? Examples are the 529 plans or the Coverdell, and different custodial accounts. Custodial accounts is an account that has a benefit for a beneficiary, and it's administered by a responsible person, usually a guardian, a custodian, an adult, a parent, right? And they have a fiduciary obligation to the beneficiary, which would be the monies for you to go to college, right? Coverdell, I just mentioned that, savings account. Those accounts work very much like a 521, a 529 plan. And whenever you hear these terms, the 529s, there's a couple different ones. What it really means is these kind of plans offer tax-free growth. These are tax-free investments that need to be specifically used for educational purposes, okay? And that the details of these kind of plans, you definitely need to speak with a financial advisor on that stuff, okay? And, it sounds kind of complicated and daunting and legal and stuff, right? But that's why you and your parents need to speak with the financial advisor or with the qualified professional at the financial institution, okay? And these counselors are there to help you. They are paid to help you, so don't ever be afraid to ask any of these questions, okay? And then you can look for external scholarships, which might be a combination of need-based and merit-based aid that can help cover your expenses. And there's thousands of scholarships are available every year through a wide range of institutions and professional organizations that are not connected to a specific individual school, okay? I think it's the College Board's scholarship database, this College Board scholarship, yeah. I think there's like 2,500 different individual scholarships that has like billions of dollars in aid, okay? And so different awards can range from just a few $100s, right, to 5 digits, right? And so it's a wide range. You have to do your research and look everywhere, okay? You've got to put the time in because that's free money out there. And there's specific available money from students that have disabilities to volunteer firefighters. I think I read that you could even find scholarships specifically, this is crazy, specifically for left-handed students, right? Or I think I saw for students for students looking in for studies for students that look into certain industries as well. Okay. So all this being said, to pay for college, always number one, always have to fill out this FAFSA first. FAFSA. Okay. And once you do that, it gives you the information on grants and scholarships and work-study programs. And that's what you should look at before you actually look at student loans from a financial institute, okay? All right, next slide. Sources: government, school, private, types, grants, loans. Okay, I just mentioned all that stuff, okay? So, excuse me. So financial aid, again, is simply, it's money supplied by a source other than you to help pay for the costs, okay? It can come from the federal government, the state, the school, private entities, as foundations, as I just mentioned, okay? Some are scholarships and grants. Others are loans or work-study arrangements, and it's available to everyone, and it's based on qualifications like a need or an academic merit, okay? And even if you think you are not eligible, please apply for the federal grants and those student loans and the work-study programs. Again, you need to fill out that report, the FAFSA. What's it stand for? Free application for federal student aid, okay? And fill that out early. A lot of aid is time sensitive, and later applicants can be denied funds due to lack of availability. If you miss a deadline completely, you will be ineligible for aid for that entire year. And you must reapply for financial aid each academic year. You can file the application for the next school year's fall, spring, and summer as early as like October. So again, the golden rule for this webinar: don't procrastinate. Write that down 1,000 times, please. Do not procrastinate. And after you fill out the FAFSA, and after it's sent to the school, their financial aid office develops an aid package, okay? And each school's offering is going to be different since it's based on their costs and the school funds that are available, okay? And remember, I said earlier, get serious and buck up, especially in your junior and senior year. especially in your final year of high school. It's crucial for that financial aid eligibility. You know, colleges, they have the right to change their award based on your performance, which can influence the amount of aid you will get. So improve your grade point average, and your financial aid from your college choice might just increase, okay? You do worse, and the college that has accepted you, they can decrease that aid, okay? Very important. And on this slide, we've got the FAFSA, fafsa.ed.gov. Again, I'm going to send a PDF form of this this presentation. I'm going to send that to you. I'm going to email that stuff to you, okay? So all this that you see, you're going to get that, okay? Next slide. Excuse me. Grants. I mentioned these just a little bit, but here we go. A grant is a cash award that does not need to be repaid. That's free money. That is awesome. That's awesome. And the amount award is usually not all that high, okay? But it can help relieve, some of the burden of the college costs, okay? The federal government offers grant programs that are primarily need-based. The biggest one, the Pell Grant, is probably the most common. And by the way, the federal government guarantees that all eligible students will be awarded their share, okay? There's also the Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, which is not guaranteed, but students are awarded the grant based on the availability of funds at that school. So again, reiterating, the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA, is the form that the federal government, states, colleges, and other organizations use to award financial aid. Submitting is your key to accessing those grants and scholarships and work-study programs and federal student loans. Completing that FAFSA is the first step for anyone making college plans, okay? And you should also know that there are other options available, and depending on how much you can afford to borrow, but everything starts with FAFSA. Submit the FAFSA each year you're in college. It only takes 30 minutes to complete, and you're prepared. So while you're in high school, you look into that, especially your senior year, okay? And I think I just want to make one more note. When the FAFSA is filled out, it takes your family's income into account to determine how much financial aid you should receive. Okay. So as a result, it's considered a need-based aid. Depending on how you fill it out, you can be eligible for the Pell Grant, financial aid from your home state. That depends on your current state of residence. The institutional aid, that depends on the college to which you're applying. You have federal work-study money, federal and then federal student loans, okay? So there's a wide range of options. I'm just touching on the basics today, okay? You need to do your homework, okay? Next slide. Federal student loans. Okay, so just quickly, excuse me, student loans come in both a subsidized and an unsubsidized form. If it's subsidized, the government will pay the interest on the loan until the student leaves school. If the loan is not subsidized, interest accumulates immediately, okay? And the interest actually can be paid monthly while you are in school, and that saves you on the compounded interest over the life of the loan, or it can be added to the loan principal. Okay, so that's important to know. Next slide. So when you're looking at these different things, you've got to look at the fine print. Okay, the devil's in the details, as they say. Types of federal student loans. Okay. So Stafford loan, that's the most common. And these are loans, by the way, federal loans. These are loans that are administered through your bank, through banks, financial institutions. Okay. The Stafford loans, they may be subsidized, and if economic need is proven, or subsidized. I'm having a hard time with that word, unsubsidized. And then we have another type of federal student loan is PLUS loans. That's another type of federal loan. And just as a note for just knowledge, pretty much every student loan, including non-federal student loans, they are guaranteed by the federal government. Have you ever heard the term Sallie Mae? That stands for Student Loan Marketing Association. It's kind of a quasi-governmental agency, and they guarantee all these loans that are paid out from the banks and all that. And that's a whole different topic to get into one day. But that's it for this slide. Types of student loans. Next slide. Entrance counseling. Okay. So before your federal student is paid out to you, your college or career school might ask you to complete an entrance counseling. Okay. If you are taking out a direct subsidized or unsubsidized loan, and you haven't previously received one, you will probably be required to complete this entrance counseling, okay? And you must complete entrance counseling before your school can make the first disbursement of your loan. And your school will tell you how to complete that entrance counseling. Your school may require in-person counseling, or you may be able to complete the counseling online. If your school tells you to use, this is important, studentloans.gov, studentloans.gov, you can complete the entrance online counseling that way. And it's, again, takes 30 minutes. Just, 30 minutes here, an hour here, 2 hours there. Take your time, plan. It's the homework that needs to be done, okay? Next slide. We talked about work study. We talked about this. So a college job checks multiple boxes, okay? It provides an income, work experience, and a potential valuable connection. That's what a college job does, okay? And the federal work-study program funds part-time jobs for college students with financial need, okay? And to apply for the work-study, again, you have to submit that FAFSA form. And if you qualify, you'll see the work-study listed on your financial aid award, okay? And just because you're eligible for a work study doesn't mean you automatically get that money, though. You have to find an eligible work study job on your campus or work enough hours to earn all the aid that you qualify for, okay? Again, you got to do the homework, okay? Even if you're not eligible for the federal work study, many colleges do offer student work positions that are paid from the university budgets, okay? A student job, especially when connected to your major, It allows you to gain practical experience. It's awesome before graduation, all while helping you pay for college. That's pretty cool, right? Next slide. Scholarships. Scholarships. Okay, so scholarships are not included in the FAFSA form, but these scholarships can be pursued independently through colleges, through nonprofit organizations, private foundations, different government agencies, like grants. And that, remember, that's free money awarded to students for achievement and for other reasons. And so to know what is available, contact your high school guidance counselor. You can also use the internet for search. The website FINAID, FINAID.org, is a great source to look up for different scholarships. And if anybody has ever watched Shark Tank, I remember I saw Shark Tank. There was a guy who came up with an app that had all these different scholarships and grants and awards all in one place. You can, the thousands of them. So there's, again, I'm going to throw out the word plethora. There's a plethora of information out there online, okay? Next slide. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water. Other sources. So, yeah, you can look at these other sources. There are these other ways that you can pay for your higher education costs, right? Almost all the branches of the military have a number of college education financing options, including the ROTC scholarships, the Montgomery GI Bill. The federal government offers AmeriCorps, a program that allows people to earn education awards in exchange for national service. So again, think about that. Maybe that's a road you want to go down to help you pay for your college. And in addition to federal student loans, there are private student loans, which are offered by lenders with no involvement from the government, because federal student loans generally come with lower interest rates and fees and more flexible repayment terms. You want to look into those first, okay? But then after you've exhausted that, then look into the private loans from financial institutions, okay? Next slide. What is this? This is summary already. Wow. We covered quite a bit, excuse me. So a lot of information I just thrown out to you. Don't panic, right? If you're thinking that college is your path, don't stress out, because you're not going to procrastinate. And when you don't procrastinate, you've got plenty of time, a little bit of time here, a little bit of time here. Do your homework, look into these different things, plan early, okay? And take advantage of all the assistance that is available. Free information online, your high school, colleges you want to contact. It's all kinds of free information, okay? So if I was to summarize everything, I would say fill out that form, that FAFSA form. Search for scholarships. Choose an affordable school. Use grants if you qualify. Get a work-study job. Look into those 529s, those Coverdell. Maybe your parents, a guardian, maybe they set something up. Take out federal loans if you have to. And at the last resort, borrow private loans from financial institutions, okay? And anything else I want to say on this subject, except just remember, when you do take out loans, all but the federal subsidized loans, they accrue interest while you're still in school, which means you have to pay back more than you originally borrowed, okay? So just do the homework. And as an example, so it's just so not daunting, I'll give you an example. My niece graduated from DePaul a couple of years ago. She went to the College of DuPage for 3 years because it was a lot cheaper, believe me. I think it was $10,000 a year over that. That's a public college. Her mom helped her out a little bit financially. Single mom. She did what she could. And half of that tuition was paid through grants, needs-based, okay, at that community college, okay? And that's because my niece did the homework, and she put a lot of time into filling out all those forms and stuff. But so my niece studied and studied and studied, and she also qualified for scholarship money. She had the grades, okay? But she wanted to graduate from DePaul, which was 2 years ago. It's like I think it's $40,000 now, like $35,000. That's a lot of money. So what happened in her case, and I just talked to her about it, she was able to get a merit-based grant through DePaul for about $20,000. So out of the 35 total, she got through DePaul a grant. It was merit-based, okay, needs-based, $20,000. And because her grades, she was given another $3,000 or so in scholarship money. And she worked part-time, and she used a lot of her savings, and she ended up taking out a loan, a private loan from a bank, okay, for $7,000, okay? So from $35,000 to a $7,000 loan, you can't get much better than that, okay? And she did it right away. Thank goodness that she looked into all of this stuff right away. Okay, she put her time into that. I just want to keep stressing that. So it is all up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Do your homework, not only in school, but regarding paying for college as well. Do the homework, put in the time now. Little time for research here and there will save you so much frustration a year from now, I promise you. And all that being said, there are different paths to take after high school. There are some people who don't think college is the right path. There's a nonprofit organization, Youth Job Center in Evanston. What a great source for everything career-wise, youthjobcenter.org. We've got Evanston Cradle to Career. We've got the Mayor's Employer Advisor Council, MEAC, and this group helps bridge careers for people who decide that college isn't their path. And this group helps youth start careers in a trade with the help of a lot of local companies, okay? Just what a great local resources for people in Evanston, okay? So take the time, look into everything. It's up to you. Good luck to everybody on their paths in life. And with that, I want to wish everybody the best. Stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. Do your homework, whether it's e-training this semester or physically going in. And I thank everyone for joining me today, and have a great rest of the week. And you have my email address. I will follow up with the PDF form of this PowerPoint. I will send that to you. You have my email, and you can ask me any questions at any time in the future. I wish you the best. And on that, I am signing off. Have a great rest of the week, okay? Bye-bye.